There, folks. Welcome to the program. This, of course, is Stinchfield, the podcast. I have amazing news. You know, I've been coming on here for a long time and pushing ivermectin as really a miracle drug. We started talking about ivermectin as a cure for COVID way back when. And what were we labeled? We were labeled heretics. We were labeled liars. We were labeled conspiracy theorists. Then we started talking about ivermectin and the idea that it could help cancer patients, whether it's preventing cancer, whether it's curing cancer, whether it's limiting the effects of cancer, limiting the spread of cancer. We slowly start to see this creep of evidence that that was a real possibility. And what became very clear, Big Pharma didn't want you to know about it. Why? Because ivermectin's freaking cheap. That's why. And the whole business of Big Pharma is treating your disease, not curing your disease. That's where the money is. Just maybe we'll get you to live a little longer. You can keep taking our drugs rather than cure you so you don't need any drugs. We know that's the scam of Big Pharma. Well, now there's a study out by the wellness company. And I will say it's early, and the study needs to be conducted over and over again and maybe even more in depth, but 197 cancer patients they tested with a combination of ivermectin and mebendazole. And you ready for this? 84% showed a clinical benefit from this. So this is what I want to drill down on today, because this will upend Big Pharma. And you know what? I actually take a little joy in upending Big Pharma. I don't know what it is, but I love sticking it to them every week, every day, however often I can, because I think they're derelict. And I don't really think they care about you. Obviously, this program is brought to you by the wellness company. Let me just tell you this. Inside this kit, from the very start, I don't know how long they've been selling this kit with prescription medications in here, ivermectin in here. This was like the only company with the balls, excuse my language, to put ivermectin in a kit like this. And guess what? It's helping a lot of people. So I would urge you to go get one. twc.health/Grant. Use the promo code GRANT. There's a look inside. Amoxicillin, doxycycline, Z-Pack in here. As I mentioned, ivermectin. So many of the drugs you need to keep you safe. twc.health/Grant. Use that promo code GRANT for 10% off. All right, with that, let's get the show started. I'll bring in my guest, Dr. Thorpe. Here we go.
Uncensored and unapologetic. This is Stinchfield. Here's your host, Grant Stinchfield.
That's right, folks. It's me and the great Dr. James Thorpe of the Wellness Company. Dr. Thorpe, it's great to have you on.
Thanks for having me back, Grant.
Are you like me? Take a little pleasure just stoking the little poking Big Pharma when we can?
Absolutely.
So this study comes out, 197 cancer patients, 84% showed benefit, 45% showed regression or no evidence of the cancer. So regression or no evidence, what does that mean? That means a cure?
Well, no evidence of disease, of which there was almost a third of the patients, it could be construed as a cure.
But it's nothing short of amazing, Doctor.
It is amazing. And you know, just the title of this article, I just says it all. Real world clinical outcomes of ivermectin and mebendazole in cancer patients results from a prospective observational cohort. And, you know, Grant, I'm extensively published, still in practice now for 47 years. I've been publishing since the 80s in medical literature. Honestly, this could be one of the most important papers that I've been an author on. It could be this important. It's nothing short of stunning. Yes, it needs to be confirmed in more rigorous, thorough studies, but this study is the first of its kind in the world from a parallel healthcare system, the most successful parallel healthcare system in the world. And I'm so proud to be a part of not only an author on this paper, but also a part of the wellness company, because this is what we do.
All right.
This is what we do.
So I like to help people oversimplify. Sometimes I oversimplify. But to make this very simple, ivermectin and mebendazole, let's take this step by step. is a very safe drug. I mean, I took ivermectin and mebendazole, the product from the wellness company, the parasite cleanse, before I started to see the idea that maybe this can prevent cancer, help cancer, but I wanted to get parasites out. I had no side effects, no effect other than the fact that I think that I may have had some parasites and my brain fog went away, that what I had, my skin cleared up a little bit, but no side effects. These are very safe drugs. Am I right?
Absolutely. Take it a step further. Ivermectin is safer than Tylenol or Motrin.
Now, how can you make that claim? I mean, that's a pretty big claim. I mean, you see Motrin and Tylenol on the shelves every day.
It's easy to make the claim. I'll give you a real world. My daughter is a pediatric emergency room doc, double board certified. I just got back visiting her, and of course I have my bottle of Motrin and Tylenol for my disability and chronic back pain, and she says, you put that up and make sure the cap's on it, right, with the Tylenol and the Motrin. She sees day in and day out potentially life-threatening complications from children taking a few Tylenol. So it is very hepato-liver toxic. Motrin, especially as we get older, there's a significant proportion of patients that have significant side effects from Motrin. So yes, ivermectin is safer. You can use it it has a much wider safety range of doses than either of those two drugs over the counter.
All right,
by the way, it's won a Nobel Prize, as you well know. Yeah. It's very safe. And by the way, the same can be said, I think, for mebendazole. It's got a very safe safety profile.
All right.
So these are combination drugs where we cannot market it for cancer. It's an off-label use, so it would be illegal for us to promote it and advertise it as a cancer therapy. But the geniuses behind this effort in marketing, which wasn't me, I credit others in the company. They knew this. They knew of the anecdotal reports, and they know full well it's perfectly legal to promote this as a parasite cleanse, knowing full well that everybody in the world now has the idea, many people in the world, that, hey, there's anecdotal reports of this curing stage 4 cancers.
So I would argue now that this is, now we can say, more than anecdotal evidence. We've got a study that actually puts evidence behind the fact that it works. And my point to the question of is it safe, and when I simplify this issue, if I'm a cancer patient and I'm looking at my prospects of whatever, of all the things, and you know what, whatever anybody decides, you make the decision with you and your doctor, and I support you in your decision of what you make. There's a lot of things, and everybody's got an idea about how to cure everything, or the doctor they like. Everybody's got an idea. I can only imagine how overwhelmed you are. My idea would be, I have nothing to lose taking this. This drug is so safe, it's not like it's going to cause me any harm. It's been out there for years and years and years. You know it doesn't cause harm. Is there anything I can lose by trying this as a cancer patient?
In my opinion, no. I again, back to my visit over to my 2 daughters and my 4 granddaughters over in St. Augustine. One of my best friends, who's my age, is dying of a hematologic cancer or a leukemia. No names mentioned, obviously, no unique identifiers. But he's already talking about my friend talking at his funeral. He's been through the whole gamut of therapy. So yes, many of these patients that have been reported. So I brought this study to their attention. The doctors have given up on them. Chemotherapy doesn't work. Surgery, radiation therapy hasn't worked. So they've sent this guy home to die, maybe 3 months to live. What's the harm in trying this? So the safety of repurposed drugs and the proven track record that's already been out there, and the affordability are major proponents and positive factors about this chemotherapy.
So
And that's why the companies hate it. That's
Yeah.
why you don't chemotherapy. You should know that may be up to $200,000 a year. Who can afford that? $200,000 a year. This parasite cleanse is. You're looking at
a few $100s.
less than $600 for 3 months.
Yeah.
There's no contendery, no contest.
All right. And if I'm not mistaken, too, by the way, the $600 that you pay as the parasite cleanse will last you you'll get like 2 or 3 courses of the parasite cleanse for the $600. So it's
3 months.
3 months. Yeah. All right. So, do we know were any of these patients also on chemotherapy of the 197? Like, can we directly attribute it to the ivermectin, or were they on other treatments as well?
Yes, it's a very important question, and the demographics are important. So we're looking at, first of all, the mean age of the participants that responded, I think, was in the range of 67 years old. And on average, they had been diagnosed with cancer around over 1 year. I think 1.2 years, maybe a year and a couple of months. So well-established, clearly a diagnosis of cancer. And yes, many of them had advanced cancers.
Wow. So, I mean, it's really is breakthrough. And let me just quote here from the study. They used oral capsules containing 25 milligrams of ivermectin and 250 milligrams of mebendazole. After 6 months, participants reported 84% clinical benefit ratio, with 48% of participants reporting regression or no evidence of cancer. 36% reported disease stability. Only 15.6 participants reported disease progression. So only 15% of the participants saw an increase in their cancer. I'll ask you this. 84% clinical benefit ratio. In layman's terms, what does that actually mean?
So what that means is basically, as you suggested, the participants were aggregated into 4 groups. No evidence of disease, which you could interpret as a cure. Number 2, a significant regression of disease. Number 3, no change in disease. So all of those first 3 could be viewed as a positive, clinical benefit ratio. And then only a small percentage, say, I believe that it was a much smaller percentage, reported progression of disease, not unexpected. So these numbers are stunning. And I don't think that we can etch this data in stone. What this tells us in conclusion is that this is very promising. This is the first study of its kind in the world, because let's face it, Grant, the government won't fund this.
Right.
The pharmaceutical companies won't fund it. Who funded it? The wellness company. With our own dollars, we funded this study.
All right, let me ask you this. This press release, I don't see a date on it, but it's only a couple days old. Does the mainstream media pick this up, or is it just the Real America's Voices and the One American News? I don't even know if my old network Newsmax would pick this up, but does the mainstream media run with this?
Come on, you know better than that. Of course not. They'll never, because their major advertisers and revenue generating streams are from pharmaceutical companies. So, we did put out a press release that's been published. This will be published. I believe now it's published in a preprint and it's submitted for a peer-reviewed medical journal. So it's not yet published in a peer-reviewed medical journal, but I assure you that I guarantee you and your viewers that it will be. But you're right, Grant. Real America Voice, of course, you were kind enough to have seen that press release by the wellness company, but there's no other outlets that are really going to cover this. It's not going to be covered on Fox News or on CNN or any of these other radical progressive.
Here's the thing. You've got which most of Stinchfield's Army knows you now after coming on this show for a few years now. You've got Dr. McCullough, Nicholas Holscher, who works with all of you and does some unbelievable research, Dr. Victory, who's a common figure on this program. She was up for Surgeon General, for crying out loud. She almost got that position, and I believe should have. Dr. Drew, who doesn't know Dr. Drew? And then you've got the CEO of the wellness company, Peter Galuli, and Harvey Risch. These are, in this space, these are some of the most well-respected doctors. Now, all of them are part of the disinformation crew, according to the mainstream media, but some of the most well-respected doctors amongst the people that I respect, Doc.
Let's be really clear. Harvey Risch is the foremost epidemiologist, MD, in the world, in my opinion, and many others' opinions. And let's not forget, President Trump just assigned him a very prestigious position as the President's Counsel for Cancer.
Wow.
That's a huge position and shows the national confidence in Dr. Risch in his area of expertise, which is cancer epidemiology.
All right, let me do this because I think it would be beneficial for everybody out there that's watching. If you have a loved one that wants to consider this, I would say do your research, talk to your doctor, but know what doctor you're talking to as well, because not all the doctors are going to be on board with this. And I'll ask Dr. Thorpe about that in just a moment. But here's what you do. Go to twc.health/grant. This is the parasite cleanse from the wellness company. 25 milligrams of ivermectin, and 250 milligrams of mebendazole. Oh, guess what? That is the exact formulation that was in this study. Go figure. Isn't that convenient, folks? Get the parasite cleanse, twc.health/grant. If you know somebody that is suffering from cancer, I'm going to tell you, I'm not a doctor, but I'm gonna tell you, folks, that you ought to be thinking about this. And again, I'm not a doctor, but every research that I've been doing shows real promise in this, including this latest study. Here's how you get it delivered direct to your door. The wellness company's not going to give you any hassles about it. twc.health/grant. Use the promo code GRANT. You'll consult with a doctor. They'll write a prescription directly to you. Okay, made in the United States. twc.health/grant. Use the promo code GRANT for 10% off. And if you don't have cancer, do what I did. I went through a course of the parasite cleanse, and I am set to do a second course now. It's been about 6 months since my last one. I like to do it a couple times a year. twc.health/grant. Use the promo code GRANT for 10% off. And I'm so proud to be associated with this company. I really am. And I'm so proud to call Dr. Thorpe a friend. Dr. Thorpe, I mean it when I say consult your oncologist. I'm going to bet you 80% of the oncologists say, oh, you've been reading too much stuff. Why are you going down the road of reading conservative websites? Am I right?
It gets much worse than that. It's the reality of the situation is much worse. I have family members that are on this, okay? They're not allowed to tell their oncologist. They won't tell their oncologist, or their oncologist may terminate their care. They're as bad as the vaccine pushers, pediatricians, that will fire their patients. So the patients that I know of that are on this are doing it on the sly and will not tell their oncologist for fear of being gaslit and kicked out of the practice.
Dr. Thorpe, let me tell you an interesting story. My grandfather, God rest his soul, was like you, a veteran. He was a captain, ultimately a major in the United States Marine Corps, fought in the South Pacific. I've got a signed chesty puller accommodation. This is a great man, a successful businessman, had a huge construction company in New York City. This is one of the instrumental figures of my life, okay? He gets prostate cancer. And this is an active guy. He built a wooden sailboat at 70 years old by hand. He started doing yoga. Well, he hears about colon cleansing for prostate cancer and juice cleanses, a juice diet. Do you know this guy goes to Greenwich Village to meet a gentleman who was from South Africa, by the way, that had moved to Greenwich Village that specialized in these colon cleanses? Do you know he cured his prostate cancer through colon cleansing and juice diets? He ends up, I'm going to make this quick, he ends up getting a call from, oh my gosh, why can I not? South African president. Mandela, thank you. I can't believe. He ends up getting a call from Nelson Mandela asking for a reference on this guy. The two of them become friends. Mandela says, will you come help pick me up at the airport? I'll send a car for you. They become great friends. Every time Mandela would come to New York, he'd meet my Italian grandfather, okay? And they would go out to dinner and do, because of this guy who helped cure and help Mandela with his issues as well. My grandfather ultimately goes to his doctor. The doctors didn't want to believe it. They didn't want to believe that the colon cleanse could do this. How can you have no cancer? This doesn't make any sense. So it's not just ivermectin. It's any alternative medicine that's going to put a kibosh on their selling you cancer drugs. Doc,
you're absolutely right. I'll tell you, and I'll throw out some names here. My friend, a former, about my age, not quite, a former Marine F-18 aviator. His son's flying F-35s over in the Middle East now. And his name is David Trombley, Trombley. His call sign is T-Bone. We won't get into that. T-Bone came down with a terminal, gave him 3 months to live, a terminal rare bone cancer. And he did exactly what your grandfather spoke of. And he wrote a book. It's called Grounded. And he's the only military aviator that's been diagnosed with a terminal cancer that was disease-free. And he received his flight privileges back as a pilot.
Those are the kind of amazing stories that I wish would be told more often, so people could have some faith that there is alternatives here. And I'm not even adverse to trying a combination of things, right? I mean, I know how awful, and I always think about this like chemotherapy. I hear these awful stories, but I have a friend who went through chemo for breast cancer and is cured of or at least, there's no signs of the breast cancer. So there are evidence that works. I mean, maybe you use a combination of things, but you have to think out of the box and you have to be your own advocate, because don't just blindly trust everybody because they've got a degree. Am I right? And I'm saying this to a guy with a degree. Your thoughts?
Well, to be brutally honest, I respect used car salesmen more than I respect most physicians, colleagues right now.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it. And I'll say, one more thing about oncologists and this massive moneymaker. It's my understanding, and this has been verified from other services, other sources, that oncologist is the only subspecialty of medicine in which a physician is allowed to get direct drugs from the pharmaceutical company, market it, and make a profit for their office. sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars a year.
It's unbelievable. Well, I would just say this. You keep doing what you're doing. I know you don't need me to tell you that because I know nothing's going to stop Dr. Thorpe. But you keep doing what you're doing. Tell people the name of your book there and where they could get it. I want everybody to be reading and following Dr. James Thorpe and the rest of the doctors at the Wellness Company.
Thank you. The name of the book is Sacrifice: How the Deadliest Vaccine in History Targeted the Most Vulnerable. You can get it at most outlets, but at my website, drjamesthorpe.com, drjamesthorpe.com, no E on the end of Thorpe. That'll bring you right to my website, and you can get it off the website.
Well, Doc, it's so great to talk to you today. Happy Easter to you. And look, keep me posted on where these studies go and what the Wellness Company continues to find, because I'm fascinated by all of this. And even in our little sphere, if we can push this out, I'll do it every time. So you just let me know.
Thank you so much for having me on, Grant, and God bless you and happy Easter.
Well, I feel grateful to have you on, Doc. Thank you. Happy Easter to you too. Really, Dr. Thorpe is a not just a patriot, but I believe an American hero when it comes to medical freedom, and you know what, flat out freedom in America. Him and the rest of the Wellness Company doctors. So again, twc.health/Grant. Use that promo code Grant for 10% off. Get that parasite cleanse for many reasons, as I've just told you. twc.health/Grant. Use the promo code Grant. And then, of course, all of the other products. I'll just tell you one little pitch because I love this product. It's the TheraBlue. I've got a little hip pain issue. This penetrates so deep. It's peptide-based. Anybody that's over the age of 40 now that has these pains and aches, get this TheraBlue. Goes on clean. It doesn't smell. And it penetrates deep. That's what the peptides are doing. These peptides are unbelievable, too. I could tell you a whole story about that. Where do you think I get these muscles from? It's not natural. I'm on all kinds of peptides. It's great. That's going to do it for us today, folks. twc.health/Grant. We'll see you on the Real America's Voice show tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you soon.